Good morning. This is the morning time here in beautiful Boca Raton, and the weather here has turned into gorgeous. I want to talk today about the concept of ruach. But to understand the ruach, and if you listen to my shiurs and shiurim and other different times, I talk about this word a lot because you see that dinim, we use a word that we want to bring them a new fragrance. Ruach is also the word reach. It has lots of different meanings. Here's my dictionary. It says it's wind, breeze, a soul, spirit, essence. These are all different kinds of words for the letter resh, which represents ruach. So ruach also represents the letter vav. I don't have a drawing for what I want to say here. Not yet. One of the main complaints that women have about their husbands is that the husbands are always on cloud nine someplace. They need them for something concrete, as women actually represent, say, Malchus, whereas the husbands represent Zer Anpin. It's just a metaphor that things go like that. Well, Zer Anpin is represented by the middle line, which is also the letter Vav. So the letter Vav in the Yud K Vav K represents Zer Anpin, which is also the concept of Ruach and Reach, and here we have wind and breeze and soul and all different kinds of things that this Ruach has. But the main thing is that the Ruach connects the two hays. The hay of the concrete, practical, what needs to be done in the Olam of action of Asiya where we live. The other hay, the hay which is the thought, the development of all the goals and how they're going to be carried out, which is Bina. Well, Zer Anpin is in between the two. Well, Bina is the next world. Wouldn't Zer Anpin much rather, whose letter Vav, be involved with what's up above in the heavens and cloud nine, rather than dealing with the Nukva, which was dealing with dirty diapers and how to put the house together and all the things that people have to do? This is a dilemma. But in fact, this is actually the dilemma that comes as a result of worlds, forms, male and female opposites being separated. But at the same time that where Zer Anpin could be in the place up above him and not down below where his wife may need him, at the same time he's actually could bring all that shefa from up above down below and into the nefesh, which represents the female aspect. It's just a little talking about the concept in the Roundkey as we get set to look at our Zohar. Now here we're at the Zohar here in Parshas Vayeitzei, and we're really just moving along. Now yesterday it mentioned that Yaakov Aveinu, as the way the Torah story sounds, is that Yaakov Aveinu is walking along until he gets to this place which is called Beisel, and there he lies down and he has this big-time dream. But the Zohar over here wants to tell you actually that he was deeply in concentration. I would say that we're going to see in this Pirush, that his Baidus has a lot to do with it. He was really struggling and trying to reach the perfection of the Malchus of Atzilus. And he did. That's Yaakov Aveinu, that's where he was. Here's the Zohar for today on page Resh Ayin Zayin in Parshat Vayeitzei in the Matok Medavash. The Zohar begins like this. Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef Yom Echad Kamei Ma'arta the Apikusa. So the Rebbe Yitzchak was sitting one day. Kamei Marta Apikusa. There's a cave called Apikusa. Afek in Aramaic means going out. I don't know exactly what it means. Rebbe Yitzchak Hoya Yoshev misbaited. He was sitting. He was meditating deeply. Yom Echad Lifnei Ma'ara. He was in front of Shal Makom Anikra Afikusa, in this cave which is called Afikusa. Ha'aver Chad Barnashu Sren Beninime. So a man passed by, and he had two children with him, two sons. Aver Sham Adam Echad, Ubeis Banavimo. He has the two children with him. V'hine heim koyim mahalking b'derek v'chamim esashemesh hiksa aleichem. And they were walking along the way, and in that climate, the sun was very powerful, and it was smacking on them. So then one of the sons said to the other son, this powerful son, the strength of this son, Mesitra de Deromihu. It's coming from the side of the south. Zecha Toikiv Shel Shemesh. So he says the power of the Shemesh. Now understand the Shemesh in a certain sense is also, once again, it is a metaphor for Zeir Anpin. So he says Atok of the Shemesh Kul B'tzad Derom is on the right side. Now, one thing that we know, and just to understand about Zeir Anpin, is Zeir Anpin has a right side, a left side, and a middle side. But here we're talking about really perhaps the creation of Zeir Anpin. V'almach lo is kayim ela al ruach. But the fact is that the sun is strong, but the world only is able to sustain itself and maintain and be alive because of ruach, which we're understanding here means wind. V'olam enem is kayim ela haruach ki hu makarer es chom hashemesh, because it cools down the heat of the sun. Now, I know that he's going to, these are all metaphors. He says the ruach represents Zeir Anpin, is the middle line. That ruach is able to cool down es chom hashemesh, the heat that's in the sun. The sun is Zeir Anpin too, and he has two sides. He has a side of coolness, and he has a side of heat. V'gam ruach hametzuya. So also we know that the common wind that we have now, Shacha Adam shoev mimano, man draws in from it. Derech hapeh v'ha'af, he takes it in through his mouth and his nose. Shehu kar, so that this wind is going to be cool. So he says, hu makayim es Adam, this breathing in and out of the air outside of us is what keeps a man cool. Ki neshima achas chama, it's because he has a breath and it's hot. Yotzis, that goes out as he breathes out. The neshima acheres kara, which is, and then another breath comes in, which is coming from the outside, nekneses, the nasam tam nekneses, then enters in. So he has a hot breath going out, cooler coming in. V'nasan tam ladamper. So now the Matuk writes that now there's a reason that we're going this way and understanding this. Begin the ruach ihu kiyum shalim b'dekol sitrin. This concept of ruach, lefi sheha ruach hu hakiyum hashalem shall call hatzadadim. It is the complete sustenance or sustaining, or what is it? The support of kol hatzadadim on all sides. Now, what does that mean? Vilmale deihu kaima b'shlima. And if it was a situation that it was not in its complete and total state, the perfection that it needs, lo yachol amalis kaima, the world would not be able to last. Now the Matuk wants to explain this, and he says, "V'dim lo hoya haruach omed b'shlemos." If the wind was not in its proper place, so omed b'shlemos means it's standing in perfection or complete. Lo hoya olam yachol is kaim, the world would not be able to maintain, to sustain itself. But so now the Matuk wants to help us out. Shumosho shalamala. Now let's look up in the spiritual world, that is the progenitors of our world. He says, Shukamot shalamala, Bahan Haga al Yona, as the world is run through probably Zeir Anpin, Il Male HaRuach Dehainach HaTeferes. A Ruach is another word for Zeir Anpin. Teferes. Teferes is another word for Zeir Anpin. Umachriya ben Gedula Gevurah. And what does Zeir Anpin do? Zeir Anpin balances the right line and the left line, the right side and the left side. He says about Kriya ben Gedola, which is Chesed, Gevurah, which is Din. If you did not have something to balance between the two of them, Lo Hoya Yochol La'olam L'Cheskayim, the world would not be able to maintain itself. Kihu HaMashal, the Trin Citrin, because it becomes now complete on two sides. Kain Lamata Ba'olam Haza. So the same thing is here like this too. In other words, when it says to complete the two sides, that it completes. I already read it wrong. Kikihu hamashlim latrim citrim. That is the middle line is the one that completes the other two sides by balancing them. So he said, "Kain lamata b'olam hazeh." That the same thing is true in this world. Haruach mekayim es kol ha'olam, that the ruach cools off everything and brings everything into alignment. Now this is literally translated, it would be that the wind, the breath, and he says it means the middle line. But without the middle line, the letter Vav would have no connection between the world in which we live in and the higher worlds. So that's part of that idea. So now the two brothers are talking. So the younger brother says to the older brother, Ilmala Yaakov, if it wasn't for Yaakov, lo is Kayim Alma, the world would not be here. Im lo Yaakov Aveinu, if we didn't have Yaakov Aveinu, lo Choya Olam is Kayim, the world would not be able to remain. Moshe al Yedei Yaakov Elyon Shuhu so the Tiferes, because we understand that Yaakov is rooted in the concept of the middle line, which is called Tiferes, beauty. Miskayim Olam Elyon, that's the reason why the upper world is able to maintain itself. What does that mean? Kacha Yedei Yaakov Hatachton. So Yaakov is here, he's down here in our world. Miskayim Olam Hatachton. So here's what he said. He said the Aka Yaakov Elyon, which is another word for Tiferes. He says that is that is what maintains the flow of energy coming down to us, because it's able to balance Din and Rachamim. So he says, Ha Ketzad, how's this work? Ta Chazi, B'shanta de the Had Bonoi Yehuda del Elo. Let me see if I can get this right. Ta Chazi, B'shanta, the Yechado Bonoi, that when the sons make a Yehuda del Elo up above. Who are the sons? What sons are we talking about? He said, Bavarei, B'sha sheyachto bonav yichud elyon. Now, I'm assuming he means the sons of Yaakov. He said, Amra Shema Yisrael, and the sons then say this phrase, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, which is the yichud elyon. Dal hu shlima yilolis yachadel beyichud echad. This phrase, saying these words, Ze Shlemos Ha'elyon, this makes the upper completion. Shal Yada Misyachtim called Partsufi Atzilus, because through these words you cause a yichud to take place in all the divergent parts of Atzilus. Beyichud Echad, and instead of being many parts, they come into oneness. Geden is Chaber Yaakov Avuham. Oz Nischaver Yimachem Yaakov Aviham, and then when that is happening in the upper worlds, Yaakov, our father, joins them. He's able to Nischaber, to join himself with them. That is Yaakov Aveinu. V'nato Beisei, and when he joins with these forces of Etzilus, I think that's what he means, of Etzilus that are now coming into oneness, then he takes his house. V'lokach as Beisa, what does that mean? Shehi HaMalchus, he takes Malchus. Here we're talking about, I guess we're speaking about the Yaakov of Olam Etzilus, which is the Tiferes of Yetzilus, or Zer Anpen of Etzilus. V'yasef be b'chibur achada, and he lives with her. V'yashev ba, he lives in her. B'chibur echad b'so the yichud, in the secret of yichud. So I want to refer you to the shir this morning, where he really was explaining in some depth exactly how this yichud takes place, what it looks like. Im avoisav Avraham Yitzchak, so he joins together with the other two lines. This is what he's saying, which is the right line called the Avraham line, and the Yitzchak, which is the Yitzchak line, is the left line. Shehem sod Chesed the Gevurah, they're the secret of the flow of Chesed Gevurah. So now Yaakov joins in with this. The Ischavra Dacher v'Nuk Kachada, to take these two sides, the side of the Dacher, which is Chesed, and the side of the Nuk, which is Din. Kedei she Ischavru Zun Yachav Karoe, to make Zun, these opposites, male and female, one, as they should be. Vayidei Zechem Iskayim Ha'olam, and this process, the process that Yaakov Aveinu, you have to understand that Yaakov Aveinu is on a deep level. This is what he's working on, to effect a tremendous tikkun in the world of Etzilus. And as a result of that, to bring Zohar and Nuk together, he's the one in the middle that can do that. He said, Amar Rebbe Yitzchak, so Zohar finishes like this. Rebbe Yitzchak says, Ishtatev b'chadayhu be'eshma mai ka'amri. So what's this translation? He says, Ishtatev imachem Yaakov Aveinu joins together as the middle line, the two, the right and the left line. Ve'eshma ma shehem oimrim, and as a result of that, he can hear what they're both saying. Gein medrash below chiddush. Because once you get into that position and you start searching, you start looking how to make it together, you find out that there is new ideas all around. This is creation. Azal b'chadayhu. So therefore, when he hears this one and he hears that one, he goes together, he travels with them, and that's how he joins them together. This is the shir for today. A lot of interesting ideas here about Yaakov Aveinu, a little deeper than I had really thought. This is Baruch Fleischman for the Tikkun Elevator Kollel. Thank you for listening.